a vote of thanks. So thank you, not just Caitlin, but Lead Now in general. There's our future voters. We're working for you guys. We're working so your vote will count. So I'm going to build on what Caitlin said. I'm actually the last speaker, and after me we're going to have some music from the RagingGrannies and Tony Turner. And before you go, we always like to do a photo op with everybody on the steps, so we'll call you up at that point. But I do want you to get to enjoy the songs that RagingGrannies and Tony have coined for us on PR specifically. What I want to talk to you about is some polling work that Fair Vote Canada has commissioned in the last 30 days or so. We've done it in 2 rounds. The first round was to build on the work of the town halls and the concurrence motion. We did polls in 20 ridings across the country. These are Liberal ridings. They're Liberal ridings of Liberal MPs who in the past have spoken in favor of proportional representation. They are those 20 MPs, those 20 Liberal MPs whose votes will be needed in order for the concurrence motion to count. So we asked 4 questions of people. And we asked the questions, remember mydemocracy.ca? Does anybody remember that? Oh, yeah. Well, mydemocracy.ca just didn't ask the right questions. It didn't actually ask people whether they think it's a good idea for the share of the seats in Parliament to be different than the share of votes. So we asked them. Those are the questions that we asked. We asked 4 questions. And so basically we were asking people, would you like to have proportional representation rather than first past the post? And when you ask that question in different ways, the answer is almost inevitably a very large proportion of the population that says, yeah, we'd like to have proportional representation. So that's how we asked it, and I'm going to tell you a little more about that in a bit more detail. But the last question was the most interesting one. The last question out of the 4 talked about the broken promise, the fact that the Liberals had promised to make 2015 the last first past the post election. They said that the Electoral Reform Committee had recommended in favor of proportional representation. And did people think in these Liberal ridings that their MP, their Liberal MP, should be advocating for the government to go back to its promise in time for 2019? That's a fairly demanding question for people who voted Liberal. 70% of people in those 20 ridings want their MPs to be advocating in the House of Commons for proportional representation in time for 2019. This is in Liberal riding.
Progressive riding, not Liberal.
Because they're progressive ridings.
Exactly.
Now, so we asked ourselves, well, what would happen now if you asked the same question in conservative ridings and NDP ridings than your typical ridings across the country? So we threw a few more $1,000s at this thing, and we said, let's do a systematic sampling across the country. We did a sample of 5,000. That's a big sample. Structured sample covering every region of the country. On question 4, do you want your MP to be advocating for the Liberals to return to their promise? This is across all stripes. And I will say that 33% of the respondents identified the Conservative Party as their preferred party. So the sample is actually biased a little bit in terms of structure, and for accidental reasons, in favor of conservative ridings, of conservative voters. What do you think happened to that 70%?
It went up.
It went up. It's 74% of Canadians across the country want their MPs to be advocating for proportional representation. That means that if Liberals are not voting for this concurrence motion, they are voting against voters. They're voting against what citizens, not just like us, but citizens across the country, what they want. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. I was going to read all the questions, but basically generally the results are more or less the same. Et je dirais quelques mots en français. Parce que j'ai rien dit jusqu'à présent en français, puis je suis bilingue après tout. Colin. C'est que lorsqu'on fait le même sondage au Québec, parce qu'on l'a fait au Québec aussi, on a 800 répondants au Québec, les chiffres que nous obtenons sont faramineux. Sur une des questions, c'est 88% des répondants qui ont répondu en faveur de la proportionnelle. Sur la question 4 aussi, c'est au-delà du 80% de la population. Donc, évidemment, il y a des parties du pays qui ne sont pas autant pour la proportionnelle, mais au Québec, c'est épatant, le niveau de support qu'on a pour la proportionnelle. Donc, j'encouragerais en particulier nos députés libéraux qui sont québécois, s'ils savent du côté que leur pain est beurré, ils sont mieux de voter oui pour la proposition. So that's it for speeches, everybody. I would like now to hear from citizens again, but to hear from citizens in song. The RagingGrannies, Tony Turner, and all of us singing together. And we've already practiced. Where's Tony? Yeah, we've already practiced Tony's song, but we're going to start with the RagingGrannies song before they get too tired and sit down on me. So you all have your little sheets of paper? Everybody has one of these? Okay, we've got two songs. We're going to start with the song called We Want PR by the Ottawa RagingGrannies. We're going to sing it a little bit slowly, and it's to the tune of Oh Susanna, which of course we all know. So, RagingGrannies, you can come closer to the mic. Tony will accompany you.
I'm trying to get a nice representative sample.
Come from Alabama.
It's politics as usual, the old ways are the best. Or that is what the new guy said at this sunny est. So don't regard it's too complicated. Once again, first past the post, we'll make our leaders stay. One reason that we voted for the Liberals this time is Trudeau's promise to us all it would be our last time. We want PR, PR sounds good to us. A fairer way for us to vote, it's simply obvious. You swear against my promise change, the status quo must go. Just a champion of vote reform,